Start recording. Start streaming. Okay. According to this, we've started streaming, so I don't know if it's gonna...
Allow me to... I don't have a notification. Not yet, at least.
According to this, the stream's going, but... Oh, no, yep. Alright, I think we're doing it. Alright, let me just tweet out then in that case.
Yo, I still don't see the... Oh, nope, there we go.
See it?
Hey, let's go!
Very nice. Alright, now let me just tweet it out.
Let me turn this down. There we go. Alright, I am officially the first like.
That's so sad.
Listen, man. It's all about... It is about the hustle.
The hustle, that 0.0001% boost in the algorithm.
Hell yeah, man. Honestly, if that's the real number for the boost in the algorithm, that's substantial.
To be fair, yeah.
It's probably like 50 zeros.
Alright, that's tweeted out. People know. I don't know if anyone actually is gonna... Oh! Ray Mag is in here of all people.
Ray, yo! What's our boy? Ray, how's it going, man?
Ah, that's beautiful. That is precious. That is precious. What's up?
It makes me very happy. Like, God, it is our man.
Granted, I don't know if he is still here. He may have dipped in to say hi and then dipped back out. But either way, he was...
Honestly, it's something I would do. I would respect it.
Either way, like, he was here, so that's still a win, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, no, he do still be here. Let's go.
Yo! I have tagged everyone in the Discord server, by the way.
Also nice, also nice. You want to wait, see if anyone else comes in, or do you want to just dive right in?
We can wait a hot second. I have just tagged everyone in the Discord, so we should probably... Oh, yep, Josh has stated in our private Discord that we're going to find this one a bit weird, although Josh is probably referring to the 4th episode, which we haven't technically seen yet.
Nah. We're just doing episodes 2 and 3 for this one. There is a reason why we're late and why we're only doing the first couple episodes, but I'll get into that if more people come on in, which to be fair they probably won't, but hey, we can dream, we can hold our hope.
We're just chilling. Look, we have one viewer at the moment. It's what we do.
Exactly. But nah, Ray says that he's staying, so that's always fun. That's always sick. That means that it's going to be immortalized, us freaking out over the fact that Ray's here and us just bowing down before our boy.
Ray, I want there to be dedicated Banterbus lore scribes that are researching the significance of Ray Mag in the Banterbus cinematic universe.
Even though, like, literally all of the content we ever did that, like, involved Ray is from, like, a bygone era of us that can't be found anymore.
What, like, wasn't there, like, didn't you guys do, like, one podcast with him that's still up?
Oh, yeah, we did a podcast with him, but I think there were, like, audio quality issues in that. Like, I think it was... like,
on knowing you guys, probably.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't our best work, but, you know, we move.
We'll fix it up. We'll get more. We promise, Ray. We will work you in somehow. Maybe, probably not.
I don't know if we ever collab with him outside of the Flushed Away video, but like this man like restarted his channel way more than even we did. So
yeah, like what's Gurgi got like under his belt? 2, 3 regenerations. Regmag is in the 12 era.
So weird that I've known you guys since like high school. Now I'm a 22-year-old with a gross job and an apartment, bro. I'm a 21-year-old with with a job actually, but not an apartment. I'm still at home. So hey, that's still something to be proud of, bro.
I'm living with my brother in a house that my father owns. That's probably technically like worse than an apartment, but better than living with your parents. I'm right in the middle.
Oh yeah, you know.
Of course, I'm also unemployed, so.
Not for long, though. You're looking. You're searching.
That's true. I'm going to say I'm on George's level, roundabout.
Near enough. Also, Ray says he's still got, like, 3 channel relaunches left.
He's like... It really is like regenerations. He's only got a select few, but he is determined to use all of them.
Goodness. You know what? I say we just, get into this now. I have a feeling that the majority of people who would tune into this will be doing so on like rewatching it on the archive channel. I reckon. Like,
Probably. You're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right.
like,
Besides, I actually really like the Die Hard episode. I'm ready to talk about it.
All right, fair enough. Let's get into it. Yeah, welcome to the second ever Rick and Morty stream we're doing. We know this is late, and because of that, we're lumping episodes 2 and 3 into just this stream. And episode 4's out, we're not even touching on that. For the week that the second episode came out, I'm not gonna lie, our schedules just didn't line up. But for the next couple of weeks after that, I caught COVID and I was ill and glued to my bed, so stream just sadly wasn't gonna happen. So that's why it's been delayed up until now. But we got there.
He's all sick and shit.
Yeah, I still haven't fully recovered, so apologies if any gross noises do come from me at any moment. I am very sorry. It's just kind of how it be. I'm still not 100%, but we move. We move.
We live.
Indeed. I'll tell you what. So yeah, we've got 2 episodes. We've got episode 2, Rick and Mort Well Lived, and episode 3, Bethic Twinstinct. I've got my overall general thoughts on these ready, but
I probably should have written something down before we started this, but it's okay. I have a perfect memory, as all of you know.
Yeah, we didn't write anything down last time, and I think we did pretty well.
True, but there was only 1 episode last time.
Nah, we got this. I got faith in us.
I don't, but I'm happy one of us does.
So yeah, starting off with episode 2, Rick and Mort Well Lived. Do you want to go first? Shall I go first?
You can go first. I need the refresher if you have such confidence.
All right, sure.
Even though it's one of my favorite episodes, but don't ignore that.
Right, I'm going to just start off with my general thoughts on Rick and Mort Well Lived. Overall, not a bad episode. Definitely very entertaining, very watchable. Though I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan. It didn't do a lot for me. If I'm being real, yeah. Again, I couldn't call it bad. I'd be very hard pressed to call it bad. But I mean, for starters, I'll start off with the actual plot within the Roy game. Of course, Rick getting in there to get Morty out, and he's splintered across all 5 billion lives in the game. Really cool concept, really fucking cool concept. But I think back to, say, some of the older episodes that had really cool concepts that could really twist your mind and make you think. Like the universe in a battery is one that I think of, and maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, but it feels like, while a decent amount was done with it, it didn't feel like it was explored anywhere near as much depth and sort of, I guess the only real way to describe it is philosophical pondering as something like that was back in the day when that episode first came out. It was still definitely very good though, still very watchable, and I did enjoy what they did do with it. And that, for me, was the best part of the episode. In terms of the B-plot, Summer doing a Die Hard, again, it was watchable, it was entertaining, but it was definitely very reminiscent to me of, not as bad as this, but it was quite reminiscent to me of the weaker Season 5 episodes, where it feels like they just had one joke that probably sounded funny in the writer's room and just kept running it into the ground over and over again. I'd imagine if, like, you'd seen Die Hard and, like, you were very familiar with it and you knew all the references, it'd probably be a little bit more rewarding, but at the end of the day, it kind of just felt like that's all the jokes really were. It was just references to this one random thing for the sake of it, and just kind of hamming it up and like proper phoning it in. Just, oh, we're referencing this one thing over and over, and it's funny because Summer doesn't really like get it,
Yeah,
funny,
the joke is that Summer's never seen Die Hard, which was the joke in, like, the beginning of the episode, and they kind of just rolled with that and expanded upon it through the story.
Yeah, for me, it was funny maybe, like, the first couple of times, but I remember seeing it in the trailer, like, Rick telling Summer to do a Die Hard, and I genuinely thought that would just be it. It would just be that line, and maybe that would get a couple nods or something, but no, it's literally every single, like, scene and bit of dialogue in that scene, like, well, that entire subplot, it all orients around this concept of doing a Die Hard, and for me, it gets old very, very quickly, personally.
All right. Would you say that about wraps up your, at least, beginning thoughts of the episode?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so to begin, George, I want to tell you that you are wrong about everything that you have ever said over the course of your entire life. So, here is why this episode is the greatest episode to ever grace Rick and Morty with its presence.
Well, I mean,
reason number one, if you have seen Die Hard, everything about the Die Hard parody villain is beautiful, okay? He's got the stupid voice, he's got, like, the weird speech patterns, and his the fact that Die Hard is its own religion, spanning multiple worlds, beautiful, okay? Perfection. With that said, I will agree that the A-plot, everything funny about this episode, in my humble opinion, is in the B-plot. It's the Die Hard shit. The Die Hard shit is just, I don't know, it's just really fucking funny to me, especially with, like, the running gag that Summer doesn't know Die Hard, followed by the twist that she figured out Die Hard about 75% of the way through, and just use that to, like, the villain is predictable because the villain is just doing a fucking Die Hard. And, like, his plan is to do a Die Hard, thinking that will help him, and then it doesn't, and he gets shot in the fucking arm.
I've been told, very quickly before you carry on, I've been told to turn you down and tell you to back away from your mic, so I've turned you down and back away from your mic.
This is about as far as I can get while still looking at the script. Look, man, Shadow, this is your problem, suck my dick. Alright, so.
Alright, continue raving about how this episode is apparently the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm not even saying it's bad, I'm just saying I thought it was just kinda average and could have been better.
Reason number 2. Breaking Bad reference.
What? There was a Breaking Bad reference?
I'm very surprised that you missed it, George. Summer figured out everything she ever needed to figure out because Die Hard guy left a book in the bathroom which Summer found while she was taking a shit.
Oh, of course. Right.
Hank figured it out, Summer figured it out, while taking a Hank of her own.
I see, I get it. That's pretty smart, actually. Yep, I understand.
Best episode. I rest my case. Also, just everything Die Hard was hilarious. And again, I know you haven't seen Die Hard, and to be fair, the show even acknowledges this through Summer's dialogue, where, like, a lot of people wouldn't have seen Die Hard, so a lot of the jokes are wasted. Like the shoot the glass joke. That shit's hilarious, right? Just that it's contextually hilarious because he's trying to throw Summer off, and it's a whole thing, and it's beautiful.
I do understand that joke, yeah. It's like, because of how much this has mirrored Die Hard, he's, like, afraid to do things from Die Hard, and he's like, bro, who cares? Just do what you gotta do to kill her. Like, that is a good joke.
Fucking kill the bitch, yeah. Like, it's great, right? But again, a lot of it is gonna miss if you haven't seen Die Hard. However, I have seen Die Hard, so I am going to defend this episode to the day that I die. With the exception of whatever I've only seen the first Die Hard, so all the sequel references I didn't get, which I assume the end credit scene was, so, fuck that. I'll be in the same boat with you there. But everything I love about this episode is mostly in Die Hard, and it's not even just the Die Hard references, it's also just the humor in general, like Summer just saying walkie-talkie Die Hard because she hasn't seen Die Hard, and it just keeps working. It's like, it's the same energy as the pilot of season 3, where Jerry just kept crawling and it kept working, except it's Summer being badass. And I love it. It's just, goddamn, it's like, I just didn't hide under the table, and it worked because he thought that I would.
Like, that's the thing for me. The jokes that do more than just, haha, we're referencing Die Hard, they're good jokes, and they do land, but it's just because, again, it feels something kind of similar to, like, say, for example, the sperm episode or the turkey episode. Again, nowhere near as bad as those. But in a sense
I'm
where,
a
like,
little offended, but I'll let you finish.
But in a sense where, like, they clearly came up with something in the writer's room and they, like, just found it funny. Maybe, like, someone just said, yo, what if we just fully have them just, like, fully do a Die Hard and just take that as far as we fucking can? And they clearly had fun, like, coming up with how they could take that to the extreme. But
they were probably just recording themselves watching Die Hard, and then that was the whole thing.
Probably, but for me, it's just not as, like, fun when that's literally all it really seems interested in doing, and just kind of goes on and on. Because the B plot, I mean, it is pretty generic anyway. It's just kind of Summer just having a shootout with these guys in blips and shits, and it's like, again, these moments are funny, but like it just, for me, it just ran the joke into the ground like really, really quickly, and just kept doing it over and over. And again, if you've seen Die Hard, it's probably a lot more rewarding, but for me, it was literally just like empty references. And even if
it really was just walkie-talkie Die Hard.
And even if I had seen Die Hard, I feel like I'd at least be singing a similar song, because again, the joke is just, you know, references funny, you know, and like, which is,
it's just called Die Hard,
which, like, again, Rick and Morty has done plenty of, and it can be like good, but when it's just the same reference over and over to the point where like the entire plot like hinges around it, it's not as fun for me, to be honest.
Yeah. It does show like a little bit of insecurity, like the fact that they were maybe worried about the fact that they were just doing a Die Hard parody, and so they really amped the parody joke like to 11. But I just think I don't know, man. It just works for me. It does it for me, you know. Like it just and maybe it's just because of the presence of like the villain, where he literally is just being the villain from Die Hard. Which, again, like, it's not going to hit as hard if you haven't seen Die Hard, because he's just... A lot of the jokes are subtle in that way. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand the subtleties of the guy doing the villain voice. But in all seriousness, yeah, like, half of the Die Hard jokes, you don't even realize they're making Die Hard jokes, like, half the time. And, like... When it works, because I found it really funny, but it is objectively bad writing, because it's a joke that like probably 60% of anyone viewing the show won't get. And that's like half the B plot.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the Venn diagram for Rick and Morty fans and Die Hard fans is exactly a circle. I don't doubt there's like a lot of them, but... There also will be a lot of Rick and Morty fans who haven't ever seen Die Hard, and like, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. It's just like, again, you're gonna make an entire plot centered around just making references to this one movie. Like, I don't know.
Like, again, like, even a lot of the jokes, even if you haven't seen Die Hard, I would argue were pretty funny, but also like it's definitely it's a weakness. It's a weakness that I would be able to forgive more if the A plot. And this is really weird, because the A-plot is high concept as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, the A-plot is great as a plot. It just gets kind of frustrating when it seems almost intentionally, Rick is, like, too stupid to just say, I love you to the infinite Mortys, and, like, that, like, it's just Rick's sheer incompetence. And yes, Rick is, like, emotionally retarded, but he should still know that, like, bruh, just fucking say the thing. Just get the 8%.
That's the thing.
There is an explanation. Maybe Rick wanted to leave behind that 8% because it was the 8% willing to defy Rick. So he's like was taking the opportunity as it came. But even at that point, Rick has had enough character development for that not to be his primary goal at this point.
Yeah.
Rick unironically and unabashedly values Morty. Like, he wouldn't want to lose that 8% by this point. Like, what the fuck, Rick?
Yeah, that's
whatever happened to the season 5 finale.
That is what's going to be much more interesting to talk on, like, just the A-plot in general, and also, like, its implications. Because, for one, you're absolutely right. The concept of the A-plot, like you say, it's high concept as fuck, and it was, again, very entertaining to watch, but that's kind of all I can really say of it, because in so many ways it was just kind of frustrating. Like, there was certain aspects of it that felt very contrived, and it felt like they could have done a lot with it, so I'm like, why do I very blatantly feel the need and, like, the desire to generate conflict from the writers? Like, you've got what you mentioned about Rick just being incapable of saying, you know, I love you, Morty, until it all gets all completely out of control. And the whole thing with, like, the Holy War, I mean, that came out of nowhere. Why did they have a Holy War? Why did they all start fighting each other? We literally just watched the episode, and I can't tell you why that conflict started. I couldn't tell you.
I think it's because, like, it's just the pause. Like, and also, Morty, especially 1/5 billionth of a Morty, is probably, like, not very rationally thinking. So these characters who are leaders of nations probably just want a holy war naturally because Morty just has this like abstract idea of, oh yeah, world leaders like war. Like I'm sure that's like part of it, but also like just the like I feel like part of the plot is that these 5 billionths of Morty are more concepts than they are like complete people. It's like the fucking it's the soldier who's like, I'm a little racist, but I've got this like fucking translator friend, and that makes it okay. It's like it's a stereotype. They're all just stereotypes, and
Right.
some of them happen to be actually smart because it's still only like 1/5 billionth of a Morty. So like stuff can get really unstable really quickly, but it's a double-edged sword. It's why Rick was able to take over the entire like basically the entire planet with his religion, which isn't a religion, but also like that is a very finite and unstable system because these are a bunch of fucking idiots.
No, yeah, that definitely does make a lot of sense. I think where I'm more like coming from is just again the fact that um that again so much of it just felt kind of like phoned in, I guess. Like there is a lot that you can do with that, with something that high concept, you know, a person's entire like being and consciousness split across 5 billion like virtual people. Like that is a genius idea, and every single one of those 5 billions representing a different aspect of Morty. But like
The president was great.
President was funny, yeah, but it's
The
just
president was it's an unironically geniusly written scene. It's like, kid, I've known it since the moment we got here. How do you think I made it to being the president? Like, he's just like, he knew immediately and used it to rig the game, which is something within Morty would do because Morty's a fucking sociopath.
like maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, maybe I don't exactly know what I want, but I think back to some like a season 2 episode or something, such as like the one that my mind goes to is the microverses in Rick's car, and that felt
Yeah.
like so like in like that felt so like deeply and richly explored with like the implications of it, and like how the world is like how the world in them is functioning and what happens when that like paradigm begins to break down and everything. Whereas
I
this,
think
it
it's
felt it was explored overall well generally, but it also just felt kind of surface level, if that makes sense for me.
I think a large part of that is because the microverse battery episode gave a lot more time. It also had an A plot and a B plot, but the B plot was very like the B plot was a joke about keep Summer safe, then right back to the microverse battery. Whereas with this, the A and B plot were like kind of evenly split.
Hmm.
It was not evenly split in the microverse battery episode, so there was a
Oh,
lot more time to go down a second level to the next microverse, or sorry, the miniverse, and then go down even further to the teenyverse and spend an actual amount of time in the teenyverse because like bro, we have time. Like that was like fucking 15 made like what how long is an episode of Rick and Morty? 20 minutes?
20
At
to
least
22 minutes,
15
yeah.
at least 15 minutes of that was just the microverse battery.
You know what? That was absolutely perfect. You absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think that is where the problem is, because on the surface, at least in terms of like the sum of their parts, the summer B plot in the microverse episode and the summer B plot in this episode are both incredibly simple. Yet in that episode, they got the balance of like how much time is dedicated to each one absolutely perfect. In that older episode, it was a very simple plot, so it didn't need as much time dedicated to it, and that extra time was used
Less
to
is
really,
more.
yeah, and the extra time was used to really explore in depth the A plot. Whereas in this, excuse me, it wasn't as it wasn't allowed to be as fleshed out and explored as in depth because too much time was dedicated to this other B plot that just simply, at least in my opinion, just didn't need it.
Yeah, I can say that that's fair. Although having said that, once again, George, you're wrong about everything you've ever said since you were born. B plot was beautiful. In fact, it needed more. It should have been the A plot.
Jesus. Like,
You
again,
heard me.
I want to make it very clear, absolutely not at all a bad episode. It was still very entertaining, it was still very watchable, it was still funny and interesting. It's just kind of frustrating knowing how well Rick and Morty used to do with like such high concepts, and just like how at times geniusly well thought out the writing process seemed to be for some of those older episodes. to fast forward to now when they're making stuff that's not bad but makes such simple mistakes, you know, like that could have easily massively boosted the episode if they were just given more attention.
There's also something that like I feel like we've danced around a little bit, but Morty's character. There's a lot to talk about here.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing I did want to touch on, because there is a lot of interesting stuff there. 100%.
I feel like there's one really interesting thing, but
I'll let you take it away. I'll let you have the floor. What do you got?
Wow, regression. Like, there are pretty big implications, which even bleed into the next episode a little bit, where Morty is like really, really loyal to Rick. And like we even got in the next episode, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, Morty said like Morty just immediately agreed with Rick telling Summer to shut up for basically no reason, which it gave me the same vibes as the Tiny Rick episode, where Morty is like, yes, Summer, it's a big universe, get used to it, right, Rick? It's like it has that kind of energy, and it wasn't as blatant as then, but it was the same energy. It was the same idea, where Morty's loyalty to Rick has almost like had a huge reset button. And you can say part of that is that Morty like genuinely likes Rick again because of their character development together that we got to see a lot of in the the first episode of season 6. With that said, it could also very well be that Morty's had 8% of his fucking brain lobotomized.
Yeah, see, that is what is interesting. I don't think that many people would pay too mind to that. I think they just assume it was just like, the plot of this story, it's done, on to the next thing. But like I've seen a lot of people talking about this, the potential implications of, about a good 8% of Morty got left behind, and what was in that. What was in
probably
that
more than 8%. Like, how many of them just died during the Holy Wars?
Yeah, of course. Like, there's a lot of implications there for what aspects of Morty it was that were left behind, and whether or not Rick would do that on purpose, because it definitely, like, it's small enough, like, in how it's portrayed at the end of the episode for you to think that it might just be, like, a joke to end the episode on, or might not be that important overall. But like you say, the implications across the next episode are definitely there. And it was definitely, at the end of that episode, very deliberate to imply that parts of Morty are left behind, and for Morty to then come out and be like, yeah, Rick, okay, Rick, I trust you implicitly, like, it was a very, very deliberate move, and the potential implications of that are definitely, very interesting, 100%.
Well, you're absolutely right, because, like, yes, it was just a very small joke that, like, was at the very end of the episode, but you know what else was exactly that? The reveal that the candy bar was now Purginol-free. Because Morty's a fucking psychopath serial killer when he wants to be, and there is no Purginol, like, fucking violence serum that justifies that.
Nope.
And we see a lot of that as the series went on. He destroyed Narnia!
Excuse me.
Like, he destroyed an entire civilization several times over just because he wanted to get some fucking wine and then subsequently get laid.
I mean...
And Rick saved him, and he shouldn't have.
In fairness, who hasn't, like, leveled an entire civilization of innocent people just so you can get your hands on some booze and some coochie at the end of the evening? Like, that's pretty standard affair for a lot of us, I feel like.
Listen, man, we've all tried really hard to get the mermaid puss, but not all of us have destroyed entire worlds. Not all of us went full fucking Galactus.
What's interesting about all of it, though, is the implications specifically for Rick. And it does call into question, like, what the writers are going for, like, what they've been planning, if this is going to lead anywhere, if this was the intent. Because, like, I think you mentioned it earlier, how if this was a deliberate action by Rick to deliberately leave behind the parts of Morty that aren't subservient to Rick, it's a very, like, sinister move, especially with the development we've seen over, say, like, the last season or so. It's a very sinister thing for Rick to pull off. And, I mean, it can imply
I believe I have the answer.
It can imply a bunch of different things. I'll let you, like, say your answer, but I just want to, like, hypothesize a little bit. Like, sure. We don't know if, like, Rick feels like he's lost control of the situation and is desperately trying to cling on to some form of control. I mean, that kind of ties into the themes of the next episode, Bethic Twinstinct, about taking control. So maybe that could be something if Rick just desperately wants like some semblance of control, especially now that Morty like knows what's up with Rick's backstory, knows who's responsible. Like if Rick just desperately wants some kind of loyalty from Morty. Like there could be an entire like plethora of reasons why. But there is also the aspect of, does that clash with the character development we've already seen from Rick? Is it a step too far? Is it a bit too sinister? Like, there's a lot of things to debate on that.
No, and I'll tell you why. It's not that Rick's character development up to this point has been reversed. It's that Rick has entered a new context.
Okay.
Rick Prime is out there. And he is closer than Rick has ever been to him before.
Right.
Rick has been reminded of why he went to Morty's universe in the first place very intimately. Like, when I say Rick Prime, I mean Evil Rick, because the theory going around right now is that was the very first Rick to invent portal travel.
Yeah, I've seen the like him being called Rick Prime. Yeah, cool name by the way.
Yeah, it's great name. Frankly, I definitely like the theory that like these two Ricks are the only ones that actually invented the portal travel. I think that's great. But we're digressing a little bit. The idea that like Rick came this close to actually getting a showdown with the Rick that killed his family, I feel like that has recontextualized his time with Morty, and Rick wants Morty to be loyal to him when that time comes, when that clash comes, because he knows that Morty is capable, but he also knows that like Morty is capable, so he wants him loyal to him more than anything else in case that time comes. And I think that is a possible explanation for why... You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, I think that is a possible explanation for why Rick was very reluctant and even adamant about leaving behind that 8% of Morty that don't like Grandpa Rick.
Oh, see, it's interesting. I feel like there's going to be a hell of a lot of debate about that, like in the coming months and even years, like whether or not that directly does clash with Rick's character. One thing I do find interesting about this season so far is that it's definitely less Rick and Morty and more Rick and Morty's family. It's very like family oriented. Like Summer, Beth, and Jerry have all been like very heavily involved in some way.
It's a whole thing now.
Yeah, and I think that like, you know, it lines up with what happened with like Rick at the end of season 5 and the development we've had. You know, Rick is a lot, I mean, especially with the first episode of season 6 too, Rick is a lot closer to his family. It does feel like he genuinely does love being around them, love being with them, wants to protect them. But
yeah,
now
man,
that
he's denial Rick.
Yeah, but now that he's fallen back into that, and I think this is relevant with first episode of season 6, is he knows what happens to the people he loves. He knows that they can either horrible things can happen to them, or they can end up like not wanting anything to do with him anymore, wanting to leave. So maybe it's possible that like even though he knows that Morty loves him, you know, Rick and Morty, 100 years, even though he knows that Morty does love him, the thought of Morty eventually walking away from him is possibly now terrifying, and he wants to make sure that that could never happen. At least that's my personal working theory at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways you can go with that. Like, it's a valid theory, at least until like we get more episodes to work with, and like we have like what we do know is that Rick genuinely cares about his family now. That is a constant. He is denial Rick. It's canon. He's not leaving, even if he hasn't taken the time to fix the portal guns.
No. Which realistically he could probably do like at the drop of a hat, realistically.
Yeah, it's probably literally just that like it probably not even at the drop of a hat, because to be fair, he tried to do it at the drop of a hat, but then really fucked it up, which makes sense. I mean, how many times has this happened before?
True.
Because it's implied that it's happened a few times, since he supposedly has the big magic fix-it literally right there in his garage at all times. But that might have also literally just been a hack job of him improvising, and that's why it went so wrong.
Yeah.
and like it's. I want to see the episode where I want to see them revisit that where he actually tries to fix the portal gun, because they're clearly like building up to that, as we saw in Bethic Twinstinct, which we should probably talk about soon.
Oh
But
yeah, we'll definitely get onto that soon. I will want to say I do also have like another theory about where this could possibly go, and I did already briefly mention it, and I think that this is the one that kind of clashes with Rick's character, and it's that Rick, while he does care about his family now and love them, it's definitely not as much as he's having us believe. It's definitely like the streak of old Rick is definitely still there within him. And I mean, we're about to get onto Bethic Twinstinct. It's probably the perfect segue into it. It is that bid for control. You know, now that Rick knows that his family, like, you know, they kind of do see him as, you know, denial Rick. Like, they do see him as kind of much weaker standing than he used to be. It's a bid for control. It is honestly a kind of sinister bid to manipulate and control Morty even more so than before, because he knows that his grip on the family is a lot weaker than it used to be, and so it's again that mad wild bid for control, what little control he can get, which is also a theory that I can see them going down, but I think that probably would clash with the character development we've had for Rick so far, because him, like, his edges getting softened and now finally deciding that he does love his family and does want to stick around. It's compelling for the kind of character that Rick originally was to see him get to that point. So to turn out that it wasn't as true as we thought would be kind of a bummer. And like treating Morty like as sinisterly as we haven't seen him done in a while, like falling back into that again, it would be kind of a shame.
I don't think that's where they're gonna go with it. I do think, and I think Bethic Twinstinct, specifically the scene where like Rick gives Beth actual like genuine fatherly advice. I think that shows us that Rick actually does care about his family a lot more now, and a lot more openly now, with both like Morty and everyone else. I mean, he just wanted to play video games with the grandkids. That was genuinely his character motivation for the entire episode. He just wanted to hang out with his grandkids, which is reminiscent of like the season 1 finale. He loves his grandkids. His new catchphrase, like he just wanted to play video games.
Yeah.
It's hyper-realistic video games where most of them kind of sucked.
Well, that is the perfect segue into Bethic Twinstinct. But before we do, I'm just going to wrap up the general thoughts on episode 2. Again, overall, not bad. Definitely entertaining and very watchable. It's just could have been a lot better in so much more areas if the time was dedicated to the correct concepts and were allowed to be fleshed out a bit more. Probably my least favourite one of Season 6 I've seen so far, bearing in mind I have seen the next one. But obviously that can change in time. Sag, what are your general thoughts on Episode 2?
Episode 2, great episode, very funny, very high concept. B-plot should have been the A-plot. Good night, everybody. Except no, we're going to talk about the next episode now.
Fair enough. And I started with my general thoughts on Bethic Twinstinct, not Bethic Twinstinct, Rick and Mort Well Lived first. So do you want to do yours on Bethic Twinstinct first?
Sure. Okay, so stupid plot.
Stupid plot. Okay.
It's just the whole plot is stupid. The opening where Jerry is like, I would kill myself. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I need to convince everyone that I would kill myself. Where does this come from? Literally, where does it come from? This is a Jerry who went through the divorce, came out stronger, is happy that the divorce happened and they got back together, is fully in love with his wife, and knows by this point that his wife is fully in love with him. Like, just this insecure Jerry belongs in Season 2. And maybe it's because he took a vacation to Season 2 Jerry's life. Maybe that's it. But I don't think that justifies it. Jerry's character it has the same vibes as the sperm episode, where in order to like set the foundation for the entire plot, one character had to be regressed several seasons of character development backwards. Like this Jerry that like repeatedly said that he would kill himself if he lost his wife is not the same Jerry that flipped off his other family saying that he's a space traveler now.
Nah,
and that's sad.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jerry, we know, like, Jerry, look, he's not Jerry Prime, okay?
Absolutely not. Like, Jerry Prime, if there is a Jerry Prime, is the Jerry that's dead back on Morty's first world.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, because like everyone's calling him Rick Prime, and that's Rick's original Jerry. So we're just gonna call him Jerry Prime, also known as Badass Jerry. He's not Jerry Prime. He's not Badass Jerry, but he's certainly not season 2 Jerry either.
No.
Like, he is a significantly... He's still a little pathetic, but less pathetic version of Jerry, okay? Which we got to see a little bit at the end, where he just straight took control and just like... Look, man, if he's into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was totally power bottoming there that entire time, and it was great to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But once again, and like I already told you this, the whole idea of the entire plot where like the two Beths are keeping it a secret, and especially where like Space Beth is kind of resentful of Jerry anyway and like overly it's such a stupid fucking plot, because either of those Beths, the fact that neither of those Beths thought, you know, Jerry would probably be into this, like, it's just two of his wife. It's just his wife, but multiplied by 2. Like, there's no reason to believe that Jerry would have a problem with that, especially if they came to him about it. It was just a very stupid way that they went about it. And that kind of makes me mad, because Beth is implied to be, like, of intelligence level similar to Rick. I mean, Space Beth is doing a Star Wars out there and shit. Like, Space Beth is competent as fuck. But they were both so fucking stupid for the entire episode.
It's definitely, like, very frustrating, yeah. But it's interesting, though, because obviously Space Beth missed out on a lot of development that Beth got from season 5 and 6 so far. So as much as like they are each other, they're undoubtedly two very different people. Like, Space Beth has missed out on a lot. And I'm trying to think on... when was Beth actually cloned? Was that the end of season 3 or 4?
3. It was season 3 because it was right next to Rick, Sheree, and Candidate.
Right, I see. Okay. Yeah, because it was season 4 where she actually comes back for the first time, right? Is that right?
Yeah. And then season 5 is when she was referenced. Oh, we even saw Space Beth and shit. Yeah. We got the timeline down.
Yeah, so she's missed out on, like, season 4 development as well. So there is still kind of, like, an interesting dichotomy at play where it's like, well, yeah, these are essentially the same person. Like, Space Beth has missed out on a lot of development that regular
Space Beth is
done.
She's very clearly more resentful as a result. Space Beth is, like, angry at literally... Like, Space Beth hates her family. And I feel like she hates her family because she's had to rationalize her decision to be Space Beth while being Space Beth. And like, yeah, like she talked down to Morty like very callously. Like, she does not give it. Space Beth's a fucking bitch. Let's be honest. Like,
yeah,
Space Beth is a bitch to her family. Our Beth is better, and therefore our Beth should have, like, our Beth at the very least should have. Listen, as we've seen from the undeniably best episode of Rick and Morty, Mr. Nimbus episode, they watch porn together. Beth should have been on the level and just went to him about it.
Yeah, to be fair, Beth did try to bring up the fact that, like, telling Jerry as well. She did try to bring that up.
Well, she tried to bring up telling the family, and then Space Beth was a bitch about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but... it's strange though, because while Space Beth did miss out on a lot, she also didn't miss out on, the divorce and then them choosing to get back together. Like, she was, for all intents and purposes, still there for that. Obviously not literally, but in a metaphorical sense. Like, she was there for that. And I don't know, maybe it is characters clashing, but maybe it's also saying something interesting about Beth in the sense that, like, yeah, Beth did divorce. Yeah.
Space Beth wasn't there for them getting back together, was she?
Oh, was she not, actually?
That was end of season 3, and it was almost end of season 3 when Space Beth fucked off. Or was created and fucked off.
You know what, actually? I need to verify. I'm going to look at an episode listing right now, because, like, I feel...
Because that might explain a little bit.
Yeah, because, actually, I could be completely wrong about that.
Space Beth might be, like... if I remember correctly, I think Space Beth is divorced to Jerry.
You know what? Yeah, that would actually make a lot of sense. Hang on.
Yeah, that explains a lot of Space Beth's characterization here. Still a total bitch, but explains a lot of her characterization, yeah.
Yeah, season 3, episode 9, The ABCs of Beth. Good episode, by the way. Very good episode. Alright, give me a storyline. Give me synopsis. Where are you?
For a second, I thought you were talking to me and asking me to just give you a random Rick and Morty storyline, and I'm like, wait a minute, what did I miss?
No. I'm on IMDb.
Hell yeah.
Plot summary. It doesn't even have like a full synopsis on it because I'm pretty sure that this is where Clone Beth is made and she fucks off.
Yeah, ABCs of Beth, because it's like it's the fucking Beth's childhood toys and shit, and then like a couple episodes after that is when they get back together, and they only get back together because Earth Beth had a midlife crisis and existential crisis. Not even midlife, no, existential. An existential crisis about whether or not she was the clone. So Space Beth didn't have the epiphany that would have led to her loving Jerry again.
No, then that's it. Like
I can't believe I never even thought about that my first time watching the episode.
Yeah, no, Space Beth wasn't around for Beth and Jerry getting back together. She fucked off when they were still divorced, yeah.
Space Beth not only abandoned her family, but abandoned her family and is divorced to Jerry.
Yeah.
It explains literally everything. Of course Space Beth is a bitch. She doesn't give a shit. Earth Beth is right. She's the Beth that doesn't care. She's Rick Beth, the Rickest Beth.
I think this is just
which is what Rick wanted.
I think this is just showing that we haven't watched seasons 3 and 4 in a while because again, we've definitely forgotten a lot of those older details.
Well, dude, it's been years upon years. Again, like you saw the fucking message I sent to Discord. Like, bro, Rick and Morty was 2013, the pilot. Rick and Morty's pilot came out the same. Like, Rick and Morty's pilot coincides with the same year as Attack on Titan starting, and that is wrong. Okay, it feels wrong.
It's also
I was not thinking about Rick and Morty when I was watching Attack on Titan as a small child.
It's also when Steven Universe started, and again, same here. I wasn't thinking about it either.
Yeah, like what the fuck had some wibbly wobbly timey wimey shit must have happened for this to even be close to being true. I'm unable to reconcile it in my head.
But no, season 1 was 2013 into 14, season 2 was 2015, 3 was 2017, 4 was 19 to 20, 5 was 21, and now 6 is 22.
Insanity. Absolute insanity.
Yeah, it's mad, but that does make a lot of sense. And you know what? I have seen a lot of people talking about how this episode is an interesting character study of Beth. And now, you know what? It actually makes a lot of sense because you've got basically the Beth that divorced Jerry, like you've got basically season 2 Beth, and now current post season 4 and 5 Beth meeting and like actually interacting. And it is kind of fucked that the route they go with that is self-cessed. Like, I'm curious to know, in your opinion, was that the natural way to go about it, or do you think that was a bad decision?
Oh, come on, man. We'd all fuck ourselves if given the chance.
Well, that's not what I was referring to. Is it worth us getting into the self-cess debate that this episode sparked?
Is it even a debate? Look, they fucked.
I'm pretty sure we've actually had this debate in private where like you or someone else lambasted me for saying it's just as bad and basically the same as incest, so no, self-cess isn't good or normal.
Look, man, if you want to... I have a vague memory of that as well. I can't even remember whose side on which debate we were on, but listen, if you want to have this debate here, we can have this debate here. So, self-cessed.
See, it's weird because obviously it gets likened to incest a lot, and I can see why, and that's why I'm nervous to actually take a stance, because it's just going to get likened to debating on incest, and it's going to be seen as your take on self-cessed is equals your take on incest as well, and I don't want to risk potentially being seen as someone who says incest is okay.
Look, this is a very interesting debate because first there is a lot of things that we have to define. We got to get down to brass tacks here, okay? So, self-cessed. You have a clone of yourself. No, not even a clone, because a clone, it's too specific. Let's say you have an alternate reality, right? Let's say it's a Jerry version of self-cessed where they kiss outside the daycare, right? Like, you have a different you from a different reality and you fuck. Is it incest? Well, What is the difference? What is the fundamental difference between what I just described and fucking your twin?
I'm going to I know I said I was afraid to get too deep into the self-cess debate, but one thing I am not afraid to say is that if I had a clone of myself, yes, I would fuck it. Like, obviously, I would.
Good for you, man.
If it was an identical twin in the sense that we both popped out our mum's vagina, no, I absolutely would not. But if it was like made via a clone machine or me that teleported in from an alternate reality, then hell yeah, I'd absolutely go to town on myself. Yeah.
Your twin is not you, right? Your twin is very clearly not you. Like, twins have different personalities. They are the same genetically, so they're the closest thing to a clone that we're probably going to get in our lifetime, but it's not you. It's not the same person. That's not how it works. To an extent, that is also true of a clone and of an alternate reality version of yourself. However, it is definitely more you than a twin is, because a twin has had different experiences than you from birth. A clone and or alternate version has had the same experiences. Like, the magic is there, and it's certainly stronger than like the fucking twin magic that some people claim to have, right? This magic is real.
Well, I guess this is where it begins to coincide with the incest debate, because then the rebuttal, I had to play devil's advocate a bit here, the rebuttal is, you're fucking someone that is genetically the same as you, it is the same as fucking, like, a sibling or a twin or whatever, and, like, well, like, with the main thing with the incest debate is that it boils down to having kids and shit, isn't it? Which is, like, you know, if you're...
It's not going to happen if it's literally you, because it's always going to be the same fucking gender, isn't it?
Yeah, like you, Chloe... Oh, this feels so fucking weird to talk about. We can't delve into this
You did this, George. This was your choice.
It's like, yeah, like, your biological clone... Not biological clone. Like, your clone or alternate reality clone or whatever. Like, it's going to be the same sex as you. Therefore, you're going to have to go out of your way to have kids. But then it's also like, well, what about committing incest with someone who's the same sex as you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you see why it's dodgy? You see why it's a dodgy fucking topic?
Look, man, let's just pull up the Brooks versus Destiny incest debate and call it a day.
Because, yeah, like... Oh, like, I'm just gonna say that, like, I would fuck a clone of myself that wasn't literally my twin, but delving any deeper than that, I can't be arsed, and I'm not gonna justify it because I don't fucking need to, because, like I say,
listen, it's not even about the fucking. If there were two me's, George, if I had a me from another reality, let's say that reality was destroyed and this me just showed up, imagine what we could do together. We could be perfect!
I can actually see you dating and settling down with a clone of yourself. I can see that happening.
Bro, imagine we would be the ultimate team. It would be beautiful. It would, like... Ever watch the fucking Phineas and Ferb movie? That.
I haven't, no. But,
Damn, have you at least seen the song? The Doofenshmirtz song?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Your hesitance is making me very sad. It's great. We're gonna listen to that after the stream.
Oh,
non-negotiable.
I don't doubt that we will. But anyway, we got very, very sidetracked.
You're right. So, self-cessed. I jest, of course. Let's get back to the actual episode. Yeah. So,
those new revelations that we learned that recontextualized the episode because we're dumb. Where does that put things now? I don't think we've even really spoken that much on the episode's overall quality, to be honest. I think we more just immediately delved into the logistics of everything.
It softens the blow a little bit of the Beths not telling Jerry, because at least one of them doesn't really know Jerry, especially this version of Jerry, but our Beth should and does and should have. Like, Jesus Christ, Beth, what the fuck?
Well, see, here's the thing.
Why you being dumb?
I've kind of gotten like a new, like... I mean, like, literally just the last few minutes from looking this stuff up and realizing this stuff, I've kind of gotten, like, a new perspective on it. And that's the fact that, you know, if Space Beth, the one that we're dealing with, is essentially Season 2 Beth, then back in Season 2, lesser extent Jerry, but especially Beth, like, they could be quite abusive to each other at the best of times. And when it comes to Space Beth and Beth's relationship, and when it comes to her immediately shooting down any, like, talk about possibly letting Jerry in on things, like talking to him or being open with them, like, Space Beth immediately shoots it down in, like, a really bitchy way that I don't think it's a stretch to necessarily say that she was clearly, like, she definitely had that abusive streak still in her, and I think like I don't want to go into this whole like in-depth thing about like abusive relationships or anything because I don't want to like trivialize that, and because I'm not entirely sure that's what it was necessarily about. But I think
it was a little about that. Like Space Beth, like look. Space Beth is season 2 Beth / season 3 Beth, and both of those Beths are bitches. Just real evil, a lot of Rick inside them. Which, and not all evil, like clearly loves Jerry on some level. We also, it's interdimensional cable 1, right? We saw it. But with this new context, yeah, Space Beth was definitely wearing the pants in that relationship because she's Space Beth. But also, she should, like, our Beth is competent in her own way, in many ways. Like, our Beth should have... And it shouldn't even been a matter of, like, taking charge and putting your foot down. Our Beth should have literally just known that, like, Jerry would not only be okay with it, but would probably find it hot anyway. Like, it's just 2 Beths. It's literally just... They probably have already had this conversation. They watch porn together.
But that's
actually, no, you fucking know what? They had a threesome with Mr. Nimbus. They should be more than okay with this.
Well, again, Space
Mr. Nimbus.
That,
but our Beth was Mr. Nimbus, George.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, again, that's why I kind of bring up the aspects of abusive relationships, because, again, like, I don't want to liken the two things too much, but it's like, you know, when it comes to just putting your foot down and taking a stand for something, if your, like, spouse or person you're dating can be a bit of a dick, and if they can be very intimidating, then it's never always that simple. And it's not even for a case of, like, fearing repercussions, like you worry that they're going to be a dick to you or hurt you or whatever, like, that's the trap that abusive relationships can be, like the worry about like disappointing them. You know, you can kind of become like codependent in that aspect. So, like, while I agree it could have been like handled better and was kind of dumb, I can at least kind of like logic my way as to why Beth wouldn't have immediately been like, "Now I gotta go tell Jerry and let him in on this," you know?
I don't care. I'm angry that the writers seemingly just forgot that Mr. Nimbus exists.
No, yeah, it is still, like, really weird and was, like...
It's out of character. Like, down to brass tacks, it's just really out of character. It's not out of character for Space Beth, but it's definitely out of character for our Beth.
Yeah, well, I mean, she loses herself in a new love, doesn't she? Even if that new love is literally her. I find it interesting that we haven't had much to say about the implications of that on Beth's character herself, like the implications of her literally falling in love with a past version of herself, in a way.
I feel like it's the idea. It's a midlife crisis.
You reckon? You reckon it's that simple?
It's well, yeah, obviously. Like I think that's at the very least a giant part of it, because bear in mind, this is the Beth that, whether or not she's the clone, believes that she is a version of Beth, like her timeline of events that is either in her brain because it's how it happened, or it's in her brain because it's how she fucking, like, was wired to believe that. Whatever the case, this is a Beth that believed she stayed for her family instead of going out to be a cool Space Beth.
Right.
And the version of herself that a large part of her probably really wants to be is standing in front of her without a bra. And, like, that is, like, bro, done.
See, I get what you mean, but I also wonder if, like, part of what's meant to play it is, like, Beth longing for that aspect of her a lot more literally, you know? Like, maybe part of her still does have a longing for that part of her life where she possibly did have the option to be freer and, like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, like, we're attracted to archetypes and versions of people that in some ways remind us of versions of ourselves that we would like to be. It's a fact of human nature.
But, like, that's what I mean. Like, I can see what... I'm not necessarily, like, sticking up for the episode overall, because, again, we've barely even spoken on equality. We need to get into that. But, like, what I'm saying is, like, psychologically, I can see how Beth reached the point she did, and it didn't feel like it broke the narrative all that much for me, personally. Even if I can acknowledge that it definitely could have been handled in a much more competent way that feels more true to the character. Because that's the thing. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's not true to the character. I'd say there were ways it could have been done that feel more true to the character, if that makes sense.
Mr. Nimbus was forgotten, and that can't be accepted. I'm sorry. It's not even just Mr. Nimbus as a character. That whole episode seems to have been forgotten because Beth and Jerry canonically started getting more kinky with each other shortly before that episode, and definitely in the aftermath of that episode. And yet this was like too awkward for them to talk about, according to Beth's mind. Wrong, out of character, an event and multiple events from a previous episode were very clearly forgotten, willfully or unintentionally, in order for the plot of this episode to exist. Trash.
I mean, maybe it was because it was self-cessed, like she didn't know if Jerry would think it's weird or anything. I don't know.
Highly doubt that, because that wasn't, and even if it was, that was not communicated well in the episode, because there's very clearly no element of shame on either Beth's part. There's no shame involved. It's literally just it's just about Jerry. It's just about like Jerry's insecurity that they're very clearly worried about, or at least Earth Beth is very clearly worried about. If it was a matter of shame because it's self-cessed, that was not accurately and effectively communicated through the text of the show.
Right. No, I can agree there. I think I can definitely agree there. Quality-wise, Bethic Twinstinct compared to the last couple, where does Bethic Twinstinct stand quality-wise for you?
Not good enough.
Not very good.
No. It will never be Die Hard.
Do you think it's an overall bad episode, mid-episode, good, but with problems?
Mid-episode. I'd call it. It's not nearly as bad as episodes like the Sperm or Dragon episode, but it's definitely got problems. It's got fundamental problems that, again, the character regression and characters being out of character, not nearly as bad. Even just that element of it isn't nearly as bad as what we saw in the Sperm episode. But with that said, it's still got fundamental problems that are very difficult, at least for me, to overlook. However, having said that, it was at least funny in multiple scenes, especially the ending scene where like they're talking, both Beths and Jerry are having sex and talking like in just enough detail about the sex, very audibly from the dinner table, and just Morty and Summer like slowly breaking down as time goes on, and Rick just holding a straight face like nothing is wrong, but then towards the end Rick joining them and just being like, oh goddamn, like it very clearly and all at once gets to Rick, like he's keeping his stoicism for as long as possible, and it finally just breaks. That is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Nah, it's definitely very funny. Like, even if people
puts
think
his head in his hands, like his mouth gets droopy, like
that's the thing. Even if you think this episode is bad, I think you'd be hard pressed to say there were no like funny moments. I mean, speaking of which, we didn't even touch on like the B plot with like all the video games and shit. Those were just some funny gags. I just liked them. They were just charming.
Yeah.
You know? They didn't need to be all that substantial. They were just like charming little gags, and like I enjoyed them. The different video games, they were just fun, you know.
It wasn't even really a B plot, because it was used to like springboard, like to be a springboard about like what the family is and how the family is processing this information and the events that are unfolding around them. Like it was just a tool that was used for the A plot. Like this was really a one plot episode, and maybe definitely. That's like maybe one plot episodes are just harder to write. If you got to make something last for an entire episode, sometimes you got to forget little pieces of character development just to make sure no one puts a stop to what's happening before the end of the episode. So maybe, like writing a story is hard, okay? And I don't fault the writers for this. Having said that, Mr. Nimbus was forgotten, unforgivable.
Yeah, I think you're definitely 100% right. It wasn't really a B plot. It was very intertwined with the main story. That's definitely correct. One thing that we haven't touched on yet that I do really want to talk about is, like I mentioned earlier while we were watching, one thing that like they never ever seem to falter on, even in bad episodes, is the characterization of Jerry. And other than the whole like him saying he was going to kill himself thing, which you're right, that was fucking aggravating. Like surely we've moved on from this aspect of Jerry by now. Mm-hmm. But like with literally everything else in the episode, like And especially the ending where Jerry's like, you know what, fuck this, and he takes control in the most Jerry way possible, and it was...
Takes control, like, he doms in his own uniquely sub-Jerry way.
He imagined to be, like, a sub-fucking bottom, and, like, do that by taking control in the most, like, Jerry-ly badass way possible, and it was amazing.
It had, like, it's the same energy as in the pilot when Jerry was like, I'm Denial Rick, but, like, he was like that consistently. He got the lightning in a bottle and was able to hold on to it.
Like, bro, Jerry absolutely fucking rocks. Like, imagine completely taking charge by being a sub, but then being a sub with the complete fucking dom energy as you do it. It's amazing.
He is both anti-based, but also incredibly and fully based Jerry.
I think that was, like, my
true based Jerry.
I think that was my, like, favorite aspect of the episode, to be honest. Like, Jerry's resolution. I mean, like, we completely forgot about, like, him, like, just rolling into his little fucking cocoon thing and taking control by doing that. And then he's the one to come out and tell everyone to grow up. Like, again, other than the whole kill myself thing, which, again, like, fucking why? Like, it just wasn't needed. That's really aggravating. But other than that, like, the development that Jerry has gotten, like, to where he is now...
Great.
Like, Jerry's...
Objectively good, yes.
Jerry's just such a well-formed character, and, like, they always seem to know exactly where to take him and what to do with him, and it's amazing. And, like, again, Jerry's resolution, best part of this episode, without a doubt. Like, Jerry absolutely fucks in this episode, and it's brilliant.
I will allow that assessment. Fucking like, Jerry, dude.
Fully took control of his two wives that were beefing over him, and he's like, no, fuck this. You will humiliate me, and you will enjoy it.
Fucking Jerry, man. We need another Rick and Jerry episode where they talk about this.
I think that actually is coming. I think that's episode 5 from the promos I've seen.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, I feel like this version of Jerry that we're looking at now would actually, like... Rick would enjoy hanging out with this version of Jerry. At least a little bit.
I think so. I think that's pretty safe to say. And from the looks of things, like, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but from the promos I have seen of episode 5, it definitely seems like it is going to be fully an actual, like, Rick and Jerry adventure, other than, like, a fake Rick and Jerry adventure that just kind of becomes one and flies off the rails. Like, it's an actual Rick and Jerry adventure, and I'm very excited for it.
Rick and Jerry episode!
So I think we're almost done, almost wrapped up.
Yeah, that pretty much wraps it all up. Like my last thoughts. Episode 2, great. Episode 3 works, but mid. Not episode 2.
Do you reckon you'd rank them episode 1 being the best, then 2, then 3?
Yeah, it's we're really just going in order, and I don't like that pattern.
Yeah, no, I was about
to say. I really don't like the pattern that's being established right now.
That's definitely alarming. Yeah, gradually, like, I don't think the slips in quality have been that dramatic. I don't think they've been that much of a like, I don't think it's faltering that much. I don't think it's going that far down at that much of an angle, but like,
I'm willing to accept, I'm willing to assume that it's just a coincidence for right now. We'll have to wait and see until we watch episode 4, which we've yet to watch, but...
Yeah, but a downward pattern is never that, hopeful.
Yeah, it's worrying me. It's concerning.
See, originally, I think I would have ranked it from best to worst, episode 1, then 3, then 2, but honestly, now I'm not super sure. I'm gonna be honest, 2 and 3 are on a similar level for me, I reckon. Like, not... outright bad episodes, still good and very watchable and entertaining, but with just some problems that could have very easily been, like, tightened up and really did not need to be there. Like, glaring issues that it's like, bro, how did you not catch this, you know?
Mm-hmm. We should watch Die Hard. I feel like that'll clear a lot of things up. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep making you laugh, and it's very obviously murdering you.
Yeah, again, I still haven't fully recovered from my COVID. Again, I'm sorry for everyone if this is gross to listen to, but...
That's okay. Anyone who hears your voice anyway is going to be grossed out.
Thanks, Zarek. I appreciate that.
I love you, man.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really say on that. Yeah, I think we're all just about done here. We'll try not to take fucking forever to get to episode 4. Hopefully none of us catch a deadly virus again and our schedules just line up. Should we
Don't
try?
fucking jinx me.
Should we try and do episode 4 like relatively soon, sometime this week before 5 comes out, or do you reckon we should just accept that we're going to be an episode behind?
Episode 4 like just came out. We can knock it out of the park soon.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, like didn't episode 4 come out like yesterday?
Yesterday or the day before, something like that.
Yeah, like easy. Like there's no way we're gonna be fucking like behind schedule for 5 days just doing fuck all. No, we got this.
All right, okay.
I'm sure I'm gonna eat those words, but you know what? Fuck it, I'm committing.
It's fine. I'll hold you to that. But yeah. Thanks to Okay, from this, the most amount of concurrent viewers we had at any time was 4, and I have a feeling that those have been pretty much the same people all along. So, thanks to the
acceptable.
Thanks to the 4 people who tuned in. The stream has 20 views though. That's not bad.
Hey, we take those.
I'm gonna do what I did with the first stream, which is basically the first stream, like in terms of people going back and rewatching it, it actually did like decently well. So I did put it up on the archive channel, but I haven't taken it down from the main yet. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I think once these are all done, I think maybe then I'll take them all down from the main channel and just have them be up on the archive channel.
Hey man, whatever works.
I think it's just basically the only reason I do take them down from here and put them up on there anyway is so the channel doesn't become clogged up with these streams as opposed to videos. You know.
Yeah, that is not what we want.
But people have been going back and watching that first stream on the main, so I figured I may as well just leave this one up as well. Like, why not?
Fully acceptable.
But yeah, thanks to all 4 people who tuned in. Once again, very fun. I've had an absolute blast, and while these episodes weren't quite as good as the first one, we'll see what happens next. We'll see what we get as the season goes on. Would you say that you're happy with season 6 overall so far?
Yes. Although the first episode is carrying a lot.
Oh.
Like it's really carrying.
Yeah, like again, these are good episodes, but there's very clearly like one that stands tall above the others here. Absolutely.
Like fucking. I want to watch fucking episode 4, dude. Like I want to keep. I'm glad that I'm committing to this because like I want to keep watching the episodes. I'm excited for more episodes. I know this season is going to get good again. Which isn't to say that it's not good now, but I know look. It's like it's great, good. That's okay. I want it to be great again. I want to get back to great. Give me great.
We can only hope, you know. We can only hope.
I'm thirsty for it. I'm thirsty in general. I want some water.
Oh,
let's end the stream. I'm thirsty.
Yeah, no, I need more Liptons. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to see you all in the next one. Hope to see just more people in general in the next one. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you all again soon. And thanks for coming, Sarek. Always appreciated.
Delicious.
Goodbye. Alright. That is a completed stream.
Hell yes.